Swatting, Recovery, Part 4 of 4, How Swatting is Deceiving Communities. You may want to watch another video that I put together on guidance about recovery after a shooting incident. Hello, this is Jay Martin, Nebraska Department of Education School Safety and Security Director. The video you're going to watch is a video lesson on swatting. You'll learn not only what swatting is, but how is swatting deceiving communities? How is it impacting us, and what can we do about it? So now that you've had this response, how do we recover? One of the first things you can do after an event is conduct an after-action review. First off, ask yourself what happened. Discuss the incident in as much detail that is available. Again, sticking to the facts, not speculation or what may have been said or heard, but really what are the facts? What was our response? How did we respond to the details of the event as it was given to us? And then coming to the conclusion of what you would do differently to improve it next time. What are the lessons learned? What will it take to get better if this happens again? If you haven't had a swatting call, what you can do is tabletops. We have these exercises through NDE that we conduct. You can conduct them yourself within your schools and talking about and going through different scenarios and exercises on what you would do if this situation happened to you. As I mentioned, in recovery, costs are high. An average SWAT call is $3 to $15K, depending on the response, but that's just SWAT. Think of all the first responders, police officers that are not SWAT. Much more is involved. The local business is closing. All this can lead to hundreds of thousands of dollars being lost yearly in these swatting events. Taxpayers are ultimately the ones who end up paying for these events. Another aspect you got to be aware of is alarm fatigue. Complacency can occur with that mindset. Oh, here we go again, another alarm. As I mentioned with Uvalde, when we have too many false alarms, there's always going to be that thought of, oh no, here we go, another swatting event or another fake alarm. We can't get into that mindset. We cannot become lackadaisical in responding to a reported school threat. We can't become another Uvalde. All events are real until proven otherwise, which involves law enforcement clearing the scene. In this video, you're going to see how do we feel after an incident or an event. As you watch this, were these officers appropriate in their actions? Some people will say no, some people say yes. Why were their hands still put up when they were already cleared? One of the things you got to be aware of, again, officers are still on a heightened alert. They're looking for hands. They're looking to make sure that there's nobody carrying a weapon of any kind. That's often why your hands are up, just to make sure that officers can see your hands. In a lot of these events, you're transferred from one officer down the hallway to another officer. Another thought process is, again, to maybe have them hold hands as opposed to having their hands up. Whatever the protocols are, again, follow the instructions given by the law enforcement officers. It's them who are going to react accordingly.
Now to that new video from Heights High School. A student recorded officers dramatically clearing a classroom following what turned out to be a hoax. Many say it's a rather unfortunate necessity in these types of situations.
Jason Miles spoke with a retired FBI special agent to get his take on how things were handled. Jason.
Hey there, guys. He says it may have been traumatic for some of these students and others, but it's a byproduct of this type of threat, especially in the wake of Uvalde. In a video shared with us by a student,
Can I see identification?
a Heights High School teacher appears to follow protocol before officers who identify themselves enter his classroom.
Hands up. Teacher, hands up.
At this point on Tuesday, police were clearing the school after a 911 caller claimed someone shot 10 students.
All students, please stand up. Face the wall.
Unlike video we've seen from other classrooms, these kids were briefly questioned and lightly frisked
Keep your hands all the way up. All the way up. Just follow.
before being led to a safer space, in this case, a nearby weight room.
Based on the video I observed, I think it was handled appropriately.
Retired FBI Special Agent Dennis Franks now owns a security consulting firm. He says the almost immediate response on Tuesday and other measures appear to have gone by the book, despite any emotional impact it may have had on students and staff.
It seems, although it seems counterintuitive that you treat potential victims with suspicion, that is the protocol and is necessary, because you never know if an assailant has secreted themselves among the victims.
He says failing to properly respond in an actual emergency, like officers are accused of doing in Uvalde,
Just follow the instructions.
is never an option. I also reached out to ALERT at Texas State University. That stands for Advanced Law Enforcement Rapid Response Training, an agency that trains officers for active shooter events. Executive Director Pete Blair telling me this afternoon, quote, if the threat regarded an armed student, it could make sense to search students and maintain positive control over the class until all the students have been searched. This would be done for the safety of the officers and the students. And you can get another look or a closer look at the video in this story on KHOU.com. Meantime, that hoax remains under investigation. Reporting from Heights High School, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
Yeah, the protocol was followed, but you still do worry about that emotional impact on students. Jason, thank you.
The consequences are real. Most swatting ends without injury, death. However, some have resulted in lives lost. Some have died from the shock of the event and dying of a heart attack. Others mistakenly were killed during an episode. Others suffer from mental health aspects that emerge from the responses that are created. Hoax events are still very traumatizing to individuals. Everyone, directly and indirectly, can be impacted in some way, shape, fashion, or form. As I mentioned previously, we got to be very cognizant of how everybody is responding emotionally to these events. Mental health awareness is very important in these swatting events. Swatting leaves us time for speculation, rumors, social media posts, and media guesswork, resulting in fear and even more unease at times. The anxiety levels raise with students, parents, school staff, and the surrounding communities. Being self-aware of our own mental health needs after an event is very important. Seek assistance when it's needed. Understand we all respond differently, and we need to, again, be cognizant of everyone's needs in these events. Art improves our experiences. Think of it that way. Acceptance, or accept differences we have in these conditions. Be mindful of an event's influence on our emotions. Resiliency. Resiliency comes when we work together through the ups and downs of one of these events. Tolerance. Tolerance is being empathetic to how others cope with adverse situations. Having art is going to help us through these troubling times. Administration tips during these situations? Well, first and foremost, it comes down to that communication. The goal of communication is being right, not first. Communicate with families about the lockdown policies that you have and the procedures you have within your building. What will correspondence look like during an emergency? Do this during non-crisis timeframes so when the crisis is happening, you're prepared. Communicate as clear and specifically as possible during lockdowns with mass text systems. or whatever your, again, policies or procedures are. Afterwards, provide teachers and staff debrief time on what went well and the needs for improvement. Correct your emergency operation plans and make corrections as needed with these plans. Able educators can debrief with students. Realize some of your educators might be so traumatized they're not able to debrief. They're not able to be a part of the reunification or other exercises that might come after an incident like this. Ask how they feel. Discuss feelings in a safe environment. Discuss what it means to feel safe. Conduct calming exercises, breathing, asking them what they see, hear, smell, and feel. Get their mind onto other things. Students with disabilities are English language learners, and those who experience trauma may need specific or special attention to the process of getting help. Make sure that we're meeting the needs of all of the staff, students, and people within your building. Again, communication is key, but again, it's about being right, not always being first. Unfortunately, with social media today, things are thrown out there far too quickly and they're not always the right information. The biggest key in this is making sure you have community partnerships. Continue to build your community partnerships with your first responders, law enforcement, and local businesses. When these incidents occur, the more communication you have before they happen, the better off you're going to be. Work on the best practices with these partners and your emergency operation plans in all these types of situations, not just the active shooter. Think beyond that active killer scenario. Think of the natural disasters, school fights, suicides, drug issues, or other threats, hazards, or incidents that might occur within your facility or building or school. Preparedness, prevention, response, and recovery are the pillars to safe and secure schools. I've included several resources. The Nebraska Department of Education School Safety and Security website. You can also use our QR code up here in the far right-hand corner. One of the ways to divert any type of threat that happens at your school is to have an anonymous reporting. Safe to Help Nebraska is one of those. We have the number there. If you're using some other anonymous reporting service, utilize that, but also include Safe to Help Nebraska. It is a free service. I have the QR code for that as well. If you have questions about that, you can contact me, which will be on the next slide, about Safe to Help. 988, anytime there is a mental health issue that you're dealing with, crisis line is there for you. Even after these swatting events, that crisis line is there for you to contact if you're having some issues there. We have the Nebraska Family Helpline. 888-866-8660 is another way of accessing that information. I'd like to thank the Public Policy Center for helping me with putting together some of these videos and things within this presentation. I also need to thank Monty Lovelace for putting out some different information. For those of you that are not getting any type of communication currently from the NIAC or the Fusion Center, you need to get put onto Monty Lovelace's email distribution list. And if you would like to do that, his information is right here at the bottom. Send him an email or give him a call so you can get put on the distribution list when he has information that goes out to our school security or administration. Thanks for watching the Nebraska Department of Education swatting video. If you have any more questions about this, you can contact me directly, or if you have other questions about school safety and security in general, you can also contact me as well. Thanks again.